Are you sick of your vegetables looking like this every time you cook them? Sad, disgusting, floppy. They taste like rotten eggs. Ugh. So are we. So in this episode, we're going to teach you how to blanch a vegetable properly every single time. Stick with us and we're going to show you how. Ugh. Blanching is one of the most integral cooking techniques a chef can learn and have in their arsenal. It is one of the first cooking techniques that I learned in culinary school, and it's one that I use pretty much every day, not only in the kitchen at work, but here at home too, and especially this time of year, springtime, when ingredients are starting to pop, deep into the summer when vegetables are at their full peak. So today, we're going to learn what blanching is, how to do it properly, a couple of the pitfalls that a lot of people run into, what it looks like when you don't do it properly, which you saw at the beginning of the video, kind of gross, right? Yeah. And then also what we'll do with a blanched vegetable, in this case, again, asparagus. Springtime, so asparagus is in season, full swing right now. This is gorgeous Queen Elizabeth green asparagus. And then we also have this jumbo purple asparagus. Now these ones we are growing in our garden right now. The root bundles were a gift from my mom and dad, so your grandparents, when we moved into our house. And we want to honor that, as well as the amount of work that it takes to grow vegetables, not only ourselves, but other farmers too. So that's why cooking a vegetable, although seemingly insignificant, is very, very important. Mm-hmm. I worked for a chef that told me that if he can't trust me with something that cost him very little to nothing, he can't trust me with the big stuff, like the big expensive pieces of meat. That was his way of saying that we should honor the work that goes into this kind of stuff. This is really important to us, and we want to show you how to do it the right way, so that way you can enjoy these things. Now, I know a lot of people don't like vegetables. Tons of people out there. There's billions of people in the world, and there's tons of them that don't like vegetables. Most of the time, they don't like a vegetable because it's not been cooked properly. Today, we're going to change that, hopefully for lots of people. So, blanching. Blanching is the skill and technique of taking an ingredient, getting some water boiling, salt it up, dropping that ingredient in, letting it boil for a couple of minutes, pulling it out, dumping it into an ice bath. That is called shocking. When you shock something, it stops the cooking process like that. Shock to the system, right? So the ice stops the cooking process and it stops the vegetable from overcooking. Now, overcooking a vegetable will get you to this point, right? Yuck, gross, disgusting. You blanch a vegetable properly, it'll take that color and amplify the color. It'll make that green turn from this to super electric green, super, super bright. It'll make the vegetable a little bit more tender. If you flex this, what's going to happen when it's not cooked? There, it snaps. So it's inflexible. When you blanch a vegetable properly, you'll be able to bend it nice and slightly. It won't snap. It'll be tender, but still called al dente, which means to the tooth. It'll still have a little bit of bite to it, and that'll be perfect. This blanching also allows you to season your vegetable internally. Instead of just putting salt on the outside and it kind of falling off, when you blanch properly, your water is salted, and as this cooks, the salt goes into the vegetable too, so it's seasoned throughout. When you season blanching water, there is a process called osmosis that happens. Osmosis will take salt from the outside and pull it inside. Now, this vegetable has very little to no salt. It has some natural salt in it that's pulled from the environment. But when we put it into boiling salted water, the concentration of salt outside of that vegetable is much higher. Salt wants to be equal inside and out, so it will slowly seep in to the vegetable itself, replacing some of the water in the vegetable. So when you bite into a perfectly blanched vegetable, it'll be seasoned all the way through, and you're going to think, wow, this just tastes so much better. And that salt will bring out the natural flavors of the vegetable too, and in this case, the nuttiness and the vegetal nature of the asparagus, the sweetness, that salt will actually bring out sweetness. So very important that we do this right, so that way everything tastes at its absolute peak. Xander, we've got purple asparagus and green asparagus. We're going to show you how to do the green asparagus because it is the technique that you'll use for all vegetables here. Whether you want to blanch a carrot, a potato, asparagus, white vegetables, green vegetables, orange vegetables, it doesn't make any difference. The technique is going to be the same. It's a couple of simple steps. Now, if you have purple vegetables, if you find purple vegetables at market, and in this case, we're growing this purple asparagus, these are going to cook a little bit different. When you cook a purple vegetable like this, it has a vitamin in it called anthocyanin. That is what gives this particular vegetable its purple color. Purple beans, purple cauliflower, purple asparagus all have that vitamin in them. Now that vitamin is called water soluble. I know we're going through a lot of different sciencey, nerdy things, but this is what is going to separate us from other videos out there. We're not going to just blow past something, not really explain how it works, just show you and then peace out. In this case, we want you to know why this happens because it excites me, but also then you have a little bit more knowledge on why things happen the way they do, and if it goes wrong, you know how to fix them too, right?
Right.
Chef's job a lot of times is fixing their mistakes, and I make a lot of them. So the anthocyanin inside of most purple vegetables is water soluble. So that means when you put it into water, it starts to break down. So when you cook a purple vegetable, most of the time it turns gray. Now this doesn't work the same for beets. That is a different vitamin, that actually a different ingredient or different element that makes that purple purple. But in this case, this purple goes away in water. It'll start to turn gray. It still cooks the same. You're still going to cook it the same amount of time. You're still going to cook it with the same amount of salt. It just won't look nearly as pretty. These asparagus here are best left raw and shaved. For blanching, you only need a couple of simple ingredients. You need your vegetables here, in this case, again, asparagus. You need a stainless steel bowl big enough to hold your largest piece of asparagus in it. That should do. We need a scrap bowl. We need either a spider or strainer or a pair of tongs to grab our vegetables out of the boiling water. You need a stock pot big enough for your salted water and to hold your vegetables in it. You can see here how they all stick out, so we're going to show you how to fix that problem too. And some salt. We're using Morton's kosher salt here at home. That's it. So Xander, you ready to get in the kitchen?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're going to go secure our cutting board. We're going to wash our hands, and we're going to get in there with you. All right, so now that we're in the kitchen, we're going to start by adding water to our stock pot. We're using about a 6-quart stock pot, which is big enough for our asparagus in this size. Go ahead and use whatever size pot that is going to fit your vegetables nicely without overflowing. Rule of thumb for this right now is we go about 2/3 of the way up on the pot that we're using with water. Then we're going to add about a tablespoon of salt per quart of water that we use. So this will make it so that way the water tastes like ocean water. That's a really good rule of thumb too. If in doubt, taste it. And once you've hit that peak there, that is perfect. Once you have your salted water in your pot, you're going to take it over to the stove. You're going to put it on a high heat. This is going to get that rolling boil started as quickly as possible. While that pot is on the burner, we're going to go to our cutting board and we're going to clean up our vegetables. In this case, again, we're using asparagus, so we're going to take the woody bottom end off, and we're going to make sure that every piece is the same size. This is one of the important steps to this process, is making sure that everything is even in size and shape, so that way it cooks evenly as well. If you are curious about more knife cuts to make everything perfectly even, go ahead and watch our video, Knife Cuts 101, and we go into depth on how to make sure that everything is perfectly uniform, cut exactly the same, so that way it cooks evenly. Now our asparagus, we're going to leave it whole here, but if you're cutting other vegetables, by all means, cut them the way you want. If you want to cook cauliflower and you just want the florets, or if you want to cut rondelles or obliques out of carrots for your dish, please go ahead and do that. Once our vegetables are cut perfectly even and all the same size, uniformly ready to go, we're going to go back to our pot of boiling water. Now water boils about 212 degrees, so this is where you want to be careful. We're going to take the vegetables that we have evenly cut, and we're going to drop them into the water gently. We don't want to splash because that boiling water is going to come back on us, burn us, and that hurts. Speaking from experience, it is not fun. Once the vegetables are in the water and boiling away, we're gonna grab an ice bath. So we're going to take a bowl big enough to have our vegetables. We're gonna fill it about 1/4 of the way up with ice, and then another 1/4 of the way up with water. So it's about halfway up in your bowl of ice water. This is gonna be our ice bath. This is gonna help stop the cooking process almost immediately, so that way we don't overcook our vegetables. Now, our asparagus here is a little bit larger, so we're gonna go for about 2 to 3 minutes on a blanch. In this case, we're gonna have to use our judgment as well, because it's gonna all depend upon how big our vegetable is, how big it was cut, and how dense it is. So a carrot does not blanch the same amount of time as a piece of asparagus. The asparagus, we're gonna go again about 2 to 3 minutes. A carrot, depending upon how big it is, the denser flesh on a carrot will take longer to cook. Our rule of thumb is that we go about 2 to 3 minutes to start, and then we'll pull one of the pieces of vegetable out, put it in the ice bath, let it cool, and then we're gonna try it. We're looking for a nice bend in the asparagus here, and we also want it to be tender, but still a little bit toothsome in the middle. This is gonna be a great chance to taste that seasoning as well. If it's not fully cooked, if it wants to snap instead of bend, or if it's just a little bit hard to chew, go ahead and keep cooking. Once you are satisfied with where that cook is, go ahead and pull everything out. We're gonna drop it carefully into our ice bath so that we don't splash all over the floor, making a big old mess. We're gonna let it set for a couple of minutes, cooling completely. This will also help set the color. Now you're gonna watch a dull orange or a dull green vegetable go very, very bright very quickly in this situation. Once the vegetables are cooled, we're just gonna strain them off. We're gonna take them out of that ice bath. We're gonna put them on some paper towel or in a strainer, and they are ready to go. And that's that. Now you have a perfectly blanched vegetable, ready to eat as it is cold, or cook further in a stir fry, or any number of other things. Thank you for sticking around. We really, really appreciate your time, and we hope that this helps. Until the next one, we'll see you.
Bye.